Hello, 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 and welcome to the 10th episode of the Corny universe. In the last episode, we discussed how your belief systems or paradigms, such as monotheist religions or materialist science, were subject to the same process of evolution as your biological bodies. Because humanity is very immature, it needs to witness firsthand the inadequacy and limitations of its cured belief system in order to have an objective reason to change. The move from monotheist religions to materialist science was initiated via two main events: the bubonic plague, also called the Black Death, and the Inquisition. The plague, which essentially hit Europe in the mid-14th century, killed nearly half of all the human population. Such an event was subjectively experienced like a kind of biblical apocalypse, and praying God for help didn't provide much protection. In those days, there were also many charlatans selling miracle potions, but there were also these strange people, early doctors, who proposed novel methods and cures for dealing with the plague, and provided hope by shifting one's perspective or belief system, no longer believing that the plague was a punishment from God, but that it was a disease which had material or physical origins and that it could be cured. On top of the plague, the church, in cooperation with monarchs and kings, launched an inquisition in the mid-13th century, which lasted until the 19th century. With the gruesome trials and the terror of the Inquisition, more and more people turned away from the church, as there was a clear discrepancy between the loving message of Christ in the New Testament and the behavior of self-righteous and power-hungry priests, bishops, cardinals, and popes. Today, humanity is in a very similar situation. In order to move away from materialist science towards another belief system, humanity is faced with experiences which show the limitations and excesses of materialist science. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, scientists have manifested equivalent behaviors to priests facing the Black Plague, pushing all of humanity to undergo the same medical procedure, a one-size-fits-all approach via vaccinations, even though new variants appeared against which older versions of the vaccine were no longer efficient. This mirrors the attitude of priests, who would stubbornly advise people to simply pray more and repent more to escape the Black Plague. Then you have the equivalent of the Inquisition, where scientists and governments launched an aggressive campaign to punish anyone who questioned their authority. While humanity is no longer so uncivilized as to carry out witch trials and physically burn people at the stakes, today many people have been subject to virtual stoning campaigns by being assailed under dislikes and a social death via discredit or being publicly humiliated and lynched. Governments, blindly following the recommendation of a handful of experts, have imposed fines, put people in jail, and imposed a series of sanctions for anyone questioning the consensual scientific discourse about how to handle the pandemic. Thus, humanity has experienced what a technocratic dictatorship under the guise of science feels like, and what that could mean for the future. Much like humanity has experienced what a religious dictatorship felt like in the Middle Ages. What would a technocratic dictatorship impose on humanity in response to the climate change apocalypse? In the next episode, we will discuss why humanity is obsessed with the concept of truth. Until then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And Corny will see you in the next episode. Bye.